Well, it's that time again. You've wasted 25 minutes.
Time.
Our favorite time. And now for the highlight of the show, winners and losers. Dan, who's your winner this week?
So Wisconsin company got mentioned in the president's speech, Harley Davidson, which you might remember that he was supposed to come here, give a talk, and it sort of fell apart, and that didn't happen. But he then used them, praised them as a company, said he didn't want to ride their bikes despite their offer, putting on the lawn and stuff. But he talked mainly about the trade issue and how what sort of tariffs get imposed on Harley Davidson when they sell overseas. But there was an interesting follow-up today in the Wall Street Journal pointing out that actually their overseas sales are really good. Right now, about 38% of their volume comes from overseas sales, and they just recently came up with a goal of increasing that to 50%, which just a few years back it was around 20%.
Yeah.
So actually they're doing pretty well.
So growth is overseas right now.
So actually it was an example that the president tried to use to support his trade policies, but maybe it's not the best example.
Well, who's your loser?
Sue Black, former Parks Director, State Parks Director, and County Parks Director. She was the Parks Director under Tommy Thompson, Governor Walker, and Chris Abele, and now she's in Arizona making $160,000 a year, and she's been accused of workplace harassment and a number of other things, having a staffer do personal work on work time and any number of other things, and this is I think the third complaint filed against her. So, and she had problems here. Tommy Thompson loved her, but Scott Walker started off liking her, but had some issues and actually had her draft a resignation letter that he could use at any time. And then Chris Abele loved her, was very good friends with her, hired her as park director, gave her a huge pay raise, and then dismissed her without explanation.
Mary, let me turn to you. Who's your loser?
Okay. Jeff Sessions, I would say. It's obviously not a good week for him. I don't think
last 24 hours in particular.
Particularly, yeah. I think the first story broke, yesterday afternoon, late yesterday afternoon.
Late in the evening, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that you don't want to be in a position where you're trying to insist that you did not lie to Congress, and that is not a good spot to be in. Whatever happens, whether he has to recuse himself from the Russia investigation, obviously Dems are calling for him to resign. That wouldn't be totally unprecedented given the Flynn resignation, but not a good 24-hour stretch for him.
Not a good 24-hour stretch indeed. So who's your winner?
Okay, so this is actually going to be a bipartisan group of lawmakers who visited the JCC in Whitefish Bay this week, which has been targeted by 2 bomb threats, part of this massive wave across the country of Jewish centers and schools being targeted. So it was an interesting mix. It was Tammy Baldwin and Glenn Grothman and Alberta Darling and Gwen Moore and Tom Barrett. I can't remember the last time I saw all of them in a room together. But they basically, it's been a while, but I think that they sent a pretty clear message that whether they're Democrats or Republicans, that anti-Semitism and threatening an entire community is unacceptable and will be prosecuted.
Well, in fact, the president sent a very similar message, leading his speech off by condemning those threats.
Right, and he had been criticized in the past for really not speaking out and being asked. There was the Orthodox Jewish reporter who asked him about the threats, and he ended up getting pretty confrontational with the guy and telling him to sit down. And people were saying, like, what is taking so long? Why can't you say this? So I think there was a lot of pressure on him, but I do think he sent a clear message that this is unacceptable.